This is another One Shot Monday written by me, Ginger Lee. It is a Kurapika X listener fanfiction, and it is also the bonus part for My Imperfect Princess. But you do not have to watch the series to understand or enjoy this. The title of the story is Do Me the Honors. YN's POV. It has been 5 years since me and Kurapika became a couple, and a few months ago, during our 5th anniversary, he bought an apartment in York New City for us that we just recently moved into. He had found a job and took the evening off for today, promising to bring me on a date. I didn't object, as he said, "Okay then, after our little alone time, we can meet up with Gon, Killua, and Leario at the park for the meteor shower tonight. I know you wanted to see them, but we lived very far away before. So, what do you think, my darling?" He finished looking at me as my eyes widened in joy for a second before wrapping my arms around his neck as I placed soft kisses all around his cheeks. But as soon as I stopped and was about to pull away, I felt a tug on my waist, pulling me back into him as I looked down to see his left arm wrapped around my waist before my head was lifted up by his right hand. My chin held between his thumb and index finger as he forced my head up, looking into his beautiful silver gray eyes that I fell for so long ago, when he smirked at me before leaning in closer as I closed my eyes waiting for a kiss when I felt a breath down my neck. As soon as I felt it, he whispered into my ear, "Who told you to stop, You don't want me to get mad, right? Or do you?" His hot breath still hitting my neck before pulling away as a soft giggle left his lips as I stood there, still shocked at his actions, before finally noticing, causing my face to go bright red as I hit his chest with my hands, hiding my face into him, my hands soon grabbing onto his shirt as his giggle turned into a laugh. We stood there for a few minutes before he pushed me away, saying, "Baby, can we continue this later? I need to get changed for work." I nodded before hugging him, looking up at him sadly, before he kissed my upper cheek as I let go. After he changed and was at the door, I gave him a kiss goodbye, and soon he was out the door and I was left alone to stay and clean the apartment. Soon afternoon rolled around. I finished cleaning and had prepared a packed up lunch for Kurapika. It was nearly 12 o'clock, so I quickly changed into a cute outfit before walking out of the door. With a tote bag in hand, with everything I needed to bring, including our lunches, I walked down the busy streets towards Kurapika's current workplace, also known as the Hunter Association. I walked into the once familiar building with a new life before heading to the front desk. "Hello, miss. How may I help you?" the front desk lady said, not looking up at me, as I replied, "I'm here to see Kurapika." It might have been the sentence I said, but she looked up at me before pulling out a file, looking at it, then back at me several times before closing it again, nodding, giving me a paper with a room number written on it. I made my way through the halls before arriving at the room, knocking on the door lightly, before opening it when a man jumped out and kicked me in the stomach, causing me to fall onto the floor before activating my nen using my wings to shield myself. This continued for a few minutes, and I was slowly suffering to keep myself in my full form, when suddenly a sound echoed through the halls, saying, "Sayu, stop that, they're not a threat." The voice was familiar, but I was becoming too tired to recognize it. "How do you know? And what's the worst that can happen?" And as the supposed attacker finished speaking, the sound of chains could be heard, when someone yelled, "Kurapika, no fighting amongst Zodiac members." With the reassurance that someone I knew was near, I let my wings disappear as I fell to the side, laying into a familiar warmth, looking at the blonde-haired person before closing my eyes into a light nap to regain my energy. I woke up around half an hour or so later to the sound of arguing. As I sat up, looking at Kurapika arguing with a man I assumed to be Sayu. Getting up, I walked over slowly, step by step, before I was between the two, facing Kurapika, before laying onto him, saying, "I never thought bringing you lunch would be this tiring, Pika." I looked up at him as he hugged onto me before kissing my forehead, letting out a small yet faint smile that only I could see. "Are you okay, darling?" he asked as I nodded. "But Pika, don't be mad. Last time I gave you life energy, it was because you got mad and used too much of Emperor Time's power." I scolded him as he nodded, not wanting to argue with me, as I gave him his food before sitting down next to him, eating mine, everyone only watching and wondering what just happened when Leario burst out laughing. "Why, yeah, you're the only one that can control Kurapika without even trying, aren't you?" he said, causing me to look at him, shaking my head. "No, I don't think so." He shrugged it off before I finished eating and left, going home to get ready and possibly take a nap. Time skip after the date. But I can't believe that the restaurant overbooked us, Kurapika said, still a little salty about the actions of the restaurant owner, while I defended. "Well, it is auction season, so it was expected." He shrugged at the mention as we made our way through the park, covered by trees as we walked through the path, as if it were our own private mountain, our hands laced together, for a while before his phone rang and he looked at it for a minute, looking back at me when he said, "I have to go to the office for a minute. They need my help. Sorry. You can walk ahead. I'll meet you guys there. I promise, okay?" he said, looking down at his phone, now closed, before looking back up at me. As I nodded, understanding being a Zodiac isn't easy. He gave me a quick peck on the lips before leaving as I quietly followed the path. When suddenly the darkness faded slightly, looking up to see lanterns hanging from tree to tree, illuminating the path slightly, creating a cozy yet romantic atmosphere. I continued walking, looking up at all the different colored, shaped, and sizes lanterns. As I continued walking, I noticed I was out of the woodsy atmosphere and was now stepping on green grass, with rose petals scattered about, as the two sides had lit candles creating an aisle, almost as if walking down the wedding aisle yourself. I looked around, soaking in the scenery. When I finally looked underneath the tree to see Kilua, Gon, Aluka, and Laerio standing there, looking at me, then down. I slowly followed their gaze down to see Kurapika on one knee, holding a small black box. As I covered my mouth with one hand, remembering every time I've read this in a book or seen this happen in a movie. When he spoke, Waya Nostra, the love of my life and my angel of light, the one person I want to help me with the next part of my plan for the Carter clan and help me rebuild myself from a vengeful person to a person of joy. Will you do me the honors and grant me your hand in marriage? Help me rebuild the Carter clan and always be mine. He finished, opening the box to reveal the inside laced with soft velvety fabric and a singular ring sitting in the middle. The ring made of silver and the jewel being as red as his scarlet eyes. When he added, Wyan, this is no ordinary ring, but one of the Kurta clan's many treasures. It is one of a kind, like you, my darling. At this point, I was in tears. I was so happy I couldn't speak as he got up, walking over to me, stopping right in front of me, looking at me worriedly for my answer. If this is too... I cut him off, pressing my lips against his, arms resting on his shoulders, as I felt him melt into the kiss. Time seemingly stopped before we pulled apart to breathe. Yes, 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 a million times yes, I said as he slipped the ring onto my finger, before picking me up and spinning in circles, when suddenly we heard someone clear their throat, looking to see Kilua with his hand over his mouth. Sorry to interrupt this romantic moment, but the meteor shower is about to start. We became bright red at the mention before nodding, looking away as we sat down on the picnic blanket, looking up at the night sky as the meteor shower soon started, as it helped end one of the most perfect days of my life. Thank you, my little creamers, for watching that video, and if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. If I'm correct, this video does not have any problems, so please consider subscribing, and I will do any requests you guys would like, but maybe not BNHA at the time being. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope to see you at the next video. Bye!